Hi folks, and welcome to another Cord Cutters News Topical Deep Dive. This week we're focusing on the world of budget 4K streaming devices, why you might want one and why you might want to look elsewhere. After all, this segment of the streaming device market has certainly gotten more interesting of late. We got the updated Chromecast in the latter half of 2020, and Roku just came out with its latest budget streamer, the Express 4K Plus. So with so many well-regarded and popular choices on the market at the moment, we thought we'd take a look at the current crop of budget 4K streamers, how they perform, and how they stack up against more expensive options. So if you've been considering taking the plunge on a $40 or $50 streaming device, but you've been on the fence, we hope this one comes in handy. This is why you should and shouldn't consider a budget 4K streaming device. What exactly is a budget 4K streaming device? First off, a disclosure real quick. This video isn't a review per se, but several of the streaming devices we mentioned were originally sent to us for free for review from their respective companies. However, just like with our regular reviews, all of our opinions remain 100% our own. Okay, so first off, let's establish what we're talking about when we say budget 4K streaming device. So there's no hard and fast, legally binding rule about what qualifies as a budget device. After all, everyone's definition of budget is probably slightly different. However, for the purposes of this discussion, we're generally placing a line at the $50 price point, with budget 4K streamers coming in at or slightly below that mark. So we're talking about a variety of impressively capable devices out there, including the $49.99 Chromecast with Google TV, the $39.99 TiVo Stream 4K, the $49.99 Fire TV Stick 4K, and two options from Roku, the $49.99 Streaming Stick Plus and the brand new $39.99 Express 4K Plus. All in all, that's a fairly wide selection in such a narrow price range, so it's pretty obvious the various companies involved feel this is a battleground worth fighting over. So let's go over what these types of devices offer and why you might consider them. Upgrading your smart TV. So if you're in the market for a 4K streaming device, I'd say odds are pretty good that you've got a 4K TV at home that you're looking to connect it to, right? And if you do have a 4K TV, I'd go further and say odds are also fairly good that your TV already has some form of smart TV platform on board, although of course that may not always be the case. But it does beg the question why you'd want a separate $40 or $50 box for streaming to your 4K TV. And honestly, there are a lot of reasons why you might want to do that, so let's talk about those here. A better user interface. First off, even if your current 4K TV has some sort of smart TV platform on board, you could be looking for a better user experience or a more pleasant user interface. For instance, maybe you have an otherwise great LG OLED, but you personally want something different than the onboard WebOS-based experience. Well, the budget 4K category features some of the biggest and most popular platforms on the market, including Roku, Fire TV, Android TV, and its newer variant known as Google TV. So lots of choices on hand if you're looking for a change of pace from your 4K TV's built-in software. Better app support. Moving on, you know how I just mentioned some of the biggest streaming platforms out there? Well, in addition to their user interfaces, those platforms might also offer better app support than whatever your 4K TV has access to right now. So maybe there's a brand new streaming service or app you want to check out, but your smart TV's own software isn't supported just yet. Or maybe it's a more obscure app from a smaller company that doesn't have the developer resources to create apps for every single platform. Case in point, Pluto TV has been around in some form or another for several years now, but it wasn't until late 2020 that the free streaming app finally appeared on my 2018 era LG OLED. Well, odds are pretty good that whatever app you're looking for should be available on Roku, Fire TV, Android TV, or Google TV. Maybe all of them support the app you're looking for. And yes, we do run into instances where a big name app isn't supported by a big name streaming platform. Sometimes that happens right when a service launches, or maybe when the two sides can't quite renew an agreement in time. But overall, improved app support is definitely one reason consumers are looking to move to these streaming devices from their built-in smart TV platforms. Better performance. Depending on what your current setup is like, a $40 or $50 4K streamer might offer significantly improved performance. And that can show up as faster app loading times, faster switching between apps, or just an overall smoother experience when scrolling through menus. If you've seen our earlier hardware reviews, you might be familiar with our streaming service performance suite, where we test a device by seeing how long it takes to load a series of popular apps. Well, for this video, we thought it might be a good idea to compare those budget streamers to a 4K TV's integrated smart platform. So we once again turn to our LG OLED with its WebOS-based operating system. But we immediately ran into an issue when trying to run our standard cross-platform test suite. That problem being two of the apps we measure, Crunchyroll and ESPN, aren't actually available on WebOS. So just to reiterate what we said a moment ago, app support is definitely one of the reasons you might consider a new streaming device. So we dropped those two apps from our suite and timed the LG OLED's performance when loading the apps that are available. So our modified test suite featured Netflix, YouTube, Prime Video, Disney+, Hulu, Pluto TV, Sling TV, and then Netflix once more to see if it loaded up any faster the second time around. And we compared those times to what we've measured on our various budget 4K streamers, and I think the numbers here tell a pretty clear story. Our 2018 LG B8 may offer some incredible picture quality, but its onboard smart TV platform clearly lags behind this collection of 4K streaming devices. So if you're looking for better performance, a budget 4K streamer might be a good choice. Impressive portability. Lastly, beyond app support and overall performance, there's at least one other perk to picking up one of these devices, and that's their portability. Each of these $40 or $50 streamers fits in the palm of your hand basically, and can easily slip into a carry-on bag if you find yourself traveling a lot. That could seriously come in handy on, say, business trips where you don't feel like being at the mercy of whatever cable or satellite company is on offer at your hotel. And even if your hotel room's TV does offer streaming services, bringing along your own device means you won't have to enter your login info on some unknown device. It's definitely something to consider, especially if you're on the road a lot. Of course, while there are a lot of reasons why you might consider a budget streaming device, there are also a few reasons why you might want to look elsewhere for your streaming needs, so let's tackle those next. Why you shouldn't consider a budget 4K streaming device. So beyond the $40 to $50 4K streaming devices we're focusing on here, there lies another category of higher end options. Again, there's no clearly defined line here, but we're generally considering 4K streamers that usually retail for $100 or more to be in the high end class, and that includes the Roku Ultra, the Fire TV Cube, the new Apple TV 4K, and the Nvidia Shield TV and Shield TV Pro. So why exactly would you want to pay more for any of these devices instead of the considerably cheaper options we just talked about? Better performance on higher-end devices. Well, for one thing, many of these options offer faster performance than the budget class of 4K streamers. And while I wouldn't necessarily classify any of those budget options as slow by any means, it's worth pointing out that these higher spec models tend to offer even faster and smoother performance. For example, here's the Nvidia Shield TV Pro, a streaming device with hardware from 2019, and let's see how it performs in our standard streaming app suite. And as you can see, despite being a few years old at this point, and despite a curiously long Netflix load time right after system restart, the Shield TV Pro more than holds its own in our performance tests. And the same can be said for other higher-end devices like Roku's $99.99 Ultra. That model recorded a time of 75.74, which does indeed beat out the recently launched Express 4K Plus and all of our other budget 4K streamers. So if having the best overall performance in loading apps and navigating menus is important to you, moving up to the higher-end streaming device might be a better move. More features to choose from. But what if you don't really care that a Roku Ultra loads the Hulu app 3 seconds faster than a Chromecast with Google TV? What else do these more expensive devices offer? In a word, features. Generally speaking, this $100 plus class of 4K streamers offers a wider and more expansive feature set than their budget counterparts. And by that we mean additions like better HDR support, more onboard storage and RAM, more robust connectivity options, and more. The Roku Ultra, for example, has a built-in Ethernet port if your Wi-Fi connection isn't reliable enough. Now, the latest Roku Express 4K Plus does let you connect via Ethernet through a third-party adapter, but that's an additional cost that narrows the price gap considerably. And beyond more impressive streaming specs, these higher-end machines are often able to pull off some interesting tricks outside of streaming entertainment. The Apple TV, for instance, has some gaming capabilities built in and includes support for other companies' input devices, including gamepads from Microsoft's Xbox line and Sony's PlayStation. And that Shield TV Pro can also function as a Plex media server if you're looking to manage and stream your own personal library to your TV and other devices. That Shield TV also boasts some gaming credentials of its own, including supported Android games. Beyond that, there's the company's GeForce Now streaming service as well as GameStream, which lets you stream your home PC's games onto your big screen TV. Now, it's worth pointing out that the Chromecast with Google TV is still slated to gain support for Google's Stadia game service, but as of the recording of this video, that support is still TBD, so we don't know when it'll arrive and how it will perform once it does. But overall, yeah, if you're hoping to get more out of your streaming device than just streaming movies and TVs, it might be worth taking a look at those higher-end options on the market. You might be surprised what they're capable of. Wrapping it all up. So there you go, those were some of the biggest reasons why you should consider a budget 4K streaming device, and a few reasons why you shouldn't. And as always, thank you for tuning in. If you have recently taken the plunge on a $40 or $50 4K streaming device, let us know which one you went with and what your experiences have been like in the comment section down below. Conversely, if you took a look at the current crop of budget 4K streamers and ultimately decided to set your sights on more expensive gear, feel free to tell us why you went that route instead. After all, we are all here to learn from each other. And of course, while you're here, please do consider clicking on those like and subscribe buttons down below. They really do help us out, and we always appreciate the support. And until next time, my name is Philip Palermo. We'll see you all next week. Take care.